Okay, people, I am going to begin recording this. This is the long awaited arrival after too much time of information that I feel now is the time to reveal. This information is bought and purchased by me. It is in my possession, and therefore I have the rights to share this. Now, I am going to do my best. I am not computer literate, if you will. So we are going to speed this up because this guy actually talks slower than what I do. And I will interject with my own thoughts and opinions as I see fit.
This is Bill Nell speaking. Welcome to the truth about the Philadelphia experiment. You're about to experience an amazing story. It's a story that I've spent many years investigating. I like to call this part of the presentation the interview. It was filmed in 1989, but that doesn't make it any less relevant. In fact, it's become more relevant. A number of other witnesses have come forward since that time to verify the information that you'll see here. The interview comprises two stories that are intertwined: the Philadelphia experiment and the Montauk Project. The Philadelphia experiment had several purposes. It began as a World War II Navy project to demagnetize ships against the new type of German mine that was attracted to the magnetized metal of vessels. The degousing of ships tended to be an arduous process in those days, and it involved a stay in dry dock, and most of the electronic equipment on board a ship had to be removed while it was being degoused. This was a method that was really impractical for wartime use. The creation of a strong field of some type that could be controlled to instantly demagnetize ships proved to be a much better idea. Each ship could be provided with the necessary equipment that would be carried on board at all times, so that literally the degousing process could take place at any time. Although the degousing aspect of the Philadelphia experiment was promising and important, it was in no way the end game. The second and more important goal of the Philadelphia experiment was to make Navy ships invisible to radar. It's no secret that the Germans were developing powerful radar systems in those days that could track ships from a great distance. In fact, by 1942, plans were already underway to equip new German multi-purpose aircraft with radar-guided bombs. Information obtained after the war proved this fact to be true. The scientists and engineers that developed the technology for the Philadelphia experiment saw the degousing work as a way to get their feet in the door with the military. They had ideas that went far beyond degousing and radar invisibility, but the demagnetizing project allowed them access to government officials and government money. With a potential price tag of millions of dollars for what they really had in mind, they needed time to explain and prove their ideas to the military. The Navy was the perfect start. President Franklin Roosevelt had been Assistant Secretary of the Navy under President Woodrow Wilson and was appointed to that position in 1913. Now, as president, he was known to have a great deal of respect and affection for the Navy. He'd certainly be interested in anything that would help military vessels evade U-boats and enemy ships. You'll hear more about the history of the experiment during the interview, but the end game for the scientists and engineers involved was complete invisibility and more. With a one-time chance at millions of dollars in government money that would likely go away after the war, they had a chance to take pet theories and ideas and turn them into reality. Knowing how notoriously skeptical naval officers were about new technologies and ideas, they had to prove that the ideas could work, and did so by staging demonstrations and tests over a period of time. Not all the tests went well, as you'll see, and it was obvious that more control of the new technology was needed, but the scientists and engineers involved produced results that the Navy could not ignore. The Institute of Advanced Studies at Princeton University in New Jersey was the home of most of the scientists and engineers involved with the Philadelphia experiment. Einstein made his home at the Institute and is said to have been involved directly with the experiment. It's a historical fact that he was under contract to the Department of the Navy during World War II. The work he did for them remained secret. Other great minds, like John von Neumann and Nikola Tesla, were also involved. A number of the prodigies who worked with these great minds also worked on the Philadelphia experiment. I tend to believe that the entire saga began because these prodigies urged Einstein and others that they worked for to pursue the practical application of theories they developed at the Institute by contacting the military. If these theories could be proved true, there could be a chance at millions of dollars in government money, and actually this would be a chance for the prodigies to establish their own reputations and their own areas of development using those much-needed government funds. With the nearby Philadelphia Naval Shipyard and its assets placed at their disposal, things moved forward to the point where sea trials of the technology were planned and carried out in the early 1940s. During one of these trials, a hyperspace portal or window, or stargate if you will, was opened, which transported two of the sailors from the test ship to another place in space and time. That place was the Montauk base where the technology originally developed from the Philadelphia experiment was now being used on even more advanced and bizarre projects, as you'll soon see. The time was the 1980s, and the place was the eastern end of Long Island, near the historic Montauk Lighthouse. There's a great deal more to the story, and I'll allow the interview participants to fill in the blanks for you. And you certainly want to listen carefully because it's quite a story. When I first went to this special event, I must say I was skeptical and ready not to believe most of what was going to be said simply because it didn't fit into what I thought about technology and government and things of that nature, even though I've been a paranormal investigator for many years and investigated a number of outrageous UFO claims, some true, some not. But I did approach it as objectively as possible. And in fact, as you'll see, I brought people with me to help verify these claims. But let me give you a little bit of information about the people that were involved in this interview session. Let's begin with Preston Nichols. He was born on Long Island, New York, in 1946. He has degrees in parapsychology, psychology, and electrical engineering. Preston worked for most of his life in defense electronics and wound up at Brookhaven National Labs at AIL. In 1968, Preston's involvement with Montauk began. He got involved with the tail end of stealth research at AIL. Preston was told that the research started right after the Philadelphia experiment. He actually read the final report of Project Rainbow, which was what was known as the Philadelphia experiment in those days. The report named the Cameron brothers as being the Navy liaison in the experiment. Next, he got pulled into the mind sciences project at Montauk. They were working on interfacing a person's mind to a computer. Preston worked with Al Neely on the psychic aspects of the Montauk Chair and the Montauk Boys program. Preston trained the Montauk Boys to be PSI warriors. The Montauk Chair used subtle quantum fields to read a person's thoughts. The psychic would lay in the chair, go into a trance, and a group of coils picked up the emanations. A bank of radio receivers designed by Tesla could pick up and digitize the thought, turning thought into computer code. The radar tower was used to turn thought into reality. This chair was used for many purposes. One was to open up a vortex for time travel. Many Montauk Boys were lost due to the initial testing of the time vortex. Now let me introduce you to Al Bielek. Al Bielek has led a life that most would not choose to lose. While many would think that time travel, meeting aliens, and working on secret projects are exciting ventures, Al paid a big price for the privilege. Because those who set the agenda wished to keep their activities secret, Al was robbed of his family, his memories, and ultimately his identity. They used advanced technologies to erase what was dear to him. However, their technologies were not perfect. Slowly but surely, the memories came back to Al. Al started meeting others who had been through the same process, and ultimately a flood of memories returned that would allow him to tell his story in his own words. Al has been involved for many years in electrical engineering. Duncan Cameron is one of the central figures in the Philadelphia experiment and Montauk Project saga. According to Al, Duncan was his brother when Al was at Cameron, who jumped off the USS Eldridge in 1943 and landed into the future. When they wound up in 1982 or 83 at Montauk, they were both sent back to the USS Eldridge to destroy the equipment that was keeping the ship in hyperspace. Al Bielek says that before the Eldridge rematerialized, Duncan jumped back off the ship and returned back to 1983. He was used extensively as a psychic in the Montauk Project. He became one of the principal psychics who manned the Montauk Chair. The chain was used to create and hold the frequency required to perform the time travel and mind control activities. If this plot, if you will, sounds suspiciously like the theatrical movie, The Philadelphia Experiment, it should. It's thought that the movie came out at a time, it was produced at a time, when basically the story of Montauk was going to come out anyway, because despite all the brainwashing techniques that were being used and thought masks, some of the people remembered. And what a great way to have plausible denial if a movie would have come out before anyone talked, and the movie was obviously portrayed as a fictional story, so that anyone telling the story after that would be thought to be claiming something that was nothing but pure fiction. The interview was filmed by me in the Long Island home of a friend of Preston and Al. With strange cargo vans circling the neighborhood while the session was conducted, on a chilly day after Thanksgiving in 1989, and lots of nervous participants, I filmed as best I could without special lighting or anything that might detract to those present with the task at hand. I was able to use microphones placed near those who were involved, so the sound quality isn't bad. Among those present at this sort of micro event were a small, specially invited group of paranormal researchers, psychics, and journalists. A friend of mine who wrote a number of technical magazines, including some for the space shuttle, and also worked in the defense industry, was there to provide me with verification of the technological claims by Preston and Al. Not only did he verify, but hearing the story kept him up for days afterward and made him wonder why he and others working on government contracts were not allowed access to this amazing technology.
Okay, now that's where I'm going to end it for that. Now, I want to explain that this is not in regards, well, this is not in regards to the Philadelphia experiment. This is more towards Montauk and what happened there. And I will go further into that as we go along. But for now, we'll keep it at that.